It's 1:04. Okay, there we go. Okay, welcome to the HDC. It is Thursday, August 19th at 1:04 p.m. Present right at the moment at today's meeting are Diane Coombs, who's on Zoom, Abby Camp live, John McLaughlin live, and me live. Grateful. For those of you in the audience, just a couple of things. One, if you want to record any portion of today's meeting, let us know in advance. Two, any conversations, because we're such a small room, take place out in the hall so that we can hear what's being said for the minutes. Thank you. And the agenda is all set to jet. Is that right?
It is indeed.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the meeting.
All right, Diane, you were all over that one. Thank you. So on Diane's motion, Abby
Aye.
and John is in favor. Diane, on your motion?
Aye.
Good,
Aye.
and I'm in favor too, so that motion carries. Any public comment? Hearing none, we will move along to, oh, wow, we got a
Nothing.
pretty healthy consent agenda.
Oh, I have a question on one of those.
Yeah, okay, go.
Okay, so, but it's on the one with conditions.
Oh, consent with conditions? So
Yeah, yes, we're
then
not
I
there.
don't see that anyone of our board right now has a conflict sitting on this, so I would request a motion to approve the consent.
Okay, that I will do
Very,
now.
very good. So Abby's made a motion to approve the consent agenda. On that motion, Diane.
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Aye.
Very good. Abby on your motion,
Aye.
and I'm in favor, motion carries. And you had a question on consent with conditions.
78 Milk Street, I just wanted to maybe take a peek at it. It's the one that's very exposed. It's that triangle. Milk goes
Oh, yeah,
there,
John McCann's
and
place, yeah. Oh,
it's,
yeah.
It's- it
Oh,
says pool location, but I don't know what they mean by that.
it's right at the end of the triangle. You know, that is interesting you brought that up because.
Well,
Have it ready to go. So I'll give a
I
look.
just, yeah, I just, I saw 5 pools in a row and I was just said, maybe I better check and look at all these
Because-
pools.
All right. We should be careful because we do not have representation on this.
Yeah. Right, and it's
Oh,
right on,
you know what's interesting about this? We are, okay, the reason it's familiar to me is because we've already approved the pool on this site. Now he's moving it over to Hummock Pond roadside, which is more heavily vegetated than the Milk Street side, I can tell you that from driving down there every day. The pool appears to be large.
this got approved on the corner?
Yeah, he's got a massive amount of vegetation there, but I did notice that the vegetation that he has along Milk Street isn't quite as spectacular as the vegetation along Hummock Pond Road, which is the front of his. So let me just say, Abby, if you have a concern about this,
Yeah.
what we should probably do is pull it off of consent.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to hold for review or,
Yeah, okay, well, I think actually in point of fact, let's do this. Could you say that you would want to remove, your motion would be to remove
I'll just remove it and review.
item, what's the number on that again? Item 3 from consent with conditions. Would that be,
Yes, please.
okay, Abby's made a motion to. So here's what the motion should be. Approve the consent with conditions, accepting item number,
Okay.
with the exception of item number 3, which should be heard before.
That is my.
All right, okay. So on Abby's motion, Diane,
Aye.
thank you, John. The motion is to approve consent with conditions, but pull out the pool application that was on consent with conditions because we might want to take a further look at that in terms of visibility. So consent with conditions approved with the exception of item number 3. You're okay with that motion? Okay, thanks. And Abby on your
Yes,
motion?
yes.
And I'm in favor, so that motion carries. Okay, so that was consent with conditions. And now we're going to new business. Do we have somebody here for 24 mil?
We do not.
Don't, okay. So we're gonna need to, somebody motion to hold items 1 and 2. We're gonna hold these two. Let's see, you're right here.
This is approved, this is
That's
approved.
approved, yeah. So now we're on to these first two, but there's nobody here to represent these. So we're gonna
Make a
have a
motion.
motion to hold those two for representation.
Okay, so
Okay,
moved.
John?
That's my motion.
Okay, so Abby's made a motion to hold, on the motion, John,
This was.
thank you, Diane,
Aye.
you, Abby, on your motion.
Aye.
And I'm in favor, motion carries. Okay, Will, you're up next.
Matt Schiffer is the project architect.
Oh, okay.
Hi. Should I stand up or?
You can have a seat there.
Okay,
Now, it's just a minute for us to get our drawings.
okay. I'd like to pass out an additional drawing, if I could, just to kind of see that possible to supplement.
It's possible now, the issue that we have right now is we're running what's called a hybrid meeting, which means that Diane Coombs is in that little owl right there. So she won't be able to see your supplemental material.
Should I? Is there an email or something?
Well, you can't really do that right now.
Yeah,
But so what do you have? What's the supplemental?
just a rendering that's
Oh,
depicting,
rendering.
yeah, the front of the house. So,
Okay.
yeah, maybe I could hold it up for her.
But do we have a video in here?
Yeah,
Y'all has a video on it?
Yeah, it's being able to look at us.
Oh, didn't know that. Okay. Hi, Diane.
sorry.
All right, so this is on the other side of the street.
Yes, it's on the other side of 50 Baxter Road, and it's across the street from the owner's main house. This is a new residence that you arrive at by going through a break in the edge of the vegetation on the road. You go down a winding path through the carved out oak shrub that's present. Is going to be kept there as well. And then you discover the front entry of the house at the end of this path. Whereupon you see the front entry, which is sort of a very vernacular looking front door. And you're confronted with low-lying gables, shingle gables that are meant to relate to the character and scale of Wisconsin. The structure is a one-story structure. It's basically an L-shaped gable. And then on the interior of that L shape facing south and towards the west, there's going to be a pool. It's
Well,
only,
separate application.
yeah, it's a separate. And then as you look at the front entry on the, if you see the rendering, on the right, the gable on the right has the kitchen, living room and dining room. So it's a pretty much an open structure on the interior. And then the gabled structure with shed at the end on the left is a gym and pool room that's centered on the pool itself. So that's really sort of almost like a cabana gym. There is a basement, and in the basement we have 2 bedrooms. And the rest of the space is still to be determined. But we're thinking it's just a child's playroom right now. So there's art and projects that might happen in one area of it, and then we're not sure about the rest. But the rest is gonna be a mechanical one.
Is that it?
Yep.
What are your colors?
The colors? We're thinking natural cedar. Nantucket grade trim, and all the trim is very flat profiles very much in keeping with, you know, the local, character. I should say, you know, the corner boards are 1x6s, Western red cedar, prime red cedar. The shingles themselves are yellow cedar shingles, which silvers out more consistently than say like white cedar. So we like to use that because it doesn't have like splotches of different weathering on it in different areas.
What kind is that?
So a yellow cedar.
Last,
So isn't the roof? The windows are gonna be made by a vendor in Vermont, Ralph Hirschman, so it's gonna be sort of a custom window system put together by him. He makes them out of wood, and they're gonna be primed and painted in Nantucket gray.
thank you. Holly,
Yes, sir. I have sponsored advisory comments from August 9th. Basically, they had no concerns due to the low pile and lack of visibility. From a staff's perspective, I just want to notate that the proposed dwellings architecture should blend in a little bit more with the 1920s and 1890s structures that are across the street, even in keeping with that part of the concept. The comments, Mr. Chair.
okay, thank you.
Exactly. Those details across the street.
So there's. Well, a lot of fence, that was me.
There's the man, oh, that was you, okay, so
That was my
you.
comment. So this architecture is, yes, it's low lying with a lot of Wisconsin, it is, but there's more of a distinct style across the street that this doesn't really reflect.
Because of the fenestration
Yes.
or nothing else?
Not
just
more of
fenestration?
the fenestration than anything. The landscape plan, in addition to that, would be helpful.
We were asked to not include that in this,
What?
Okay.
but we were asked not to include the landscape plan with this submission, just to. that's-
Well, but what's the topographical?
I think it's,
It's super flat, but if you want that, you have.
it's super flat, I know this. It's-
Oh, actually, there is topo on
And then the certificate of appropriateness, it lists the grade change per side. Then the greatest grade change is on the western side, which is about 2.5 feet. And the other ones are fairly marginal. But we are gonna follow up the landscape drawings and design for all the hardscape.
Everybody, these roof pitches are all 7 and 12. They're not identified on the elevations, but it says it on the roof plan.
Is that, are you referring that it should
The
be
roof
something
pitches.
else?
No, I'm just saying, you know, it's not marked on there.
And the chimney's brick and the forms were really meant to be sort of like, almost like utilitarian forms. Like you'd see in fish park or something.
So east is the side that faces Baxter Road.
Yeah.
Oh, these are all casements.
The ones on the front on the rendering are awnings, the little squares that are 2/2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the others, there's 2/2 double hungs, which are gonna be wood, probably mahogany, primed and painted in Nantucket wood. With true divided lakes.
Who owns this massive parcel of land to the west of this? Between your property and Sanctuary?
That's Scott Trust, right?
Sconta Trust?
Yeah, they donated it when they bought the property.
And this is the beginning of Sanctuary Golf Course.
No, that just goes across the Sanctuary Road. It doesn't connect to any other. Halfway down Baxter Road.
Amos's house is right here.
Correct.
That's right.
Both of them, that one and then the house too.
Oh, you're welcome. I can't get enough. room.
Okay, anybody want to start?
No,
Go ahead, John.
what's the length of the building?
Well, the length is, length's 104 feet.
Sorry?
104.
104 feet,
One at a time. Okay, well,
104 feet long.
104.
104, thank you. These are rolling doors, right, am I correct? Slide,
Yeah, they're, yep, correct. They're sort of an accordion style door.
where, if you had it here, if you had crooked inside, where is the front door? What elevation?
Front door is, facing towards the east, John. So on this rendering right here, the front door is right there.
Where is it?
And that's that glass center door right there.
That's the
So
front
that's
door.
the front
That
door.
faces Baxter Road.
So this door is meant to look like a sort of an agrarian Roscoe-ish door that you would see in a typical like Cape Cod and Islands carriage house barn. It's almost as if what we were thinking it would be like, almost as if a Yankee carpenter went down the street and repurposed them out of an old barn. I
Another
have-
question. Is it one lot or subdivided?
It's one lot
It's
now.
it's subdivided, so there's,
Yeah, it has been. It's now.
Somewhere it said on it, there's a road goes through the middle of it.
the road is part of the other lot. It's a paper road. It's actually been dissolved.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, it's okay, Joe. 58 Baxter Road has been subdivided, and the road portion that you're talking about is on the other lot. It's actually going away too, but that's irrelevant to this particular.
is this lot part of all of this? Okay.
So this is a separate. This was one lot. It's been subdivided to here. So this is a separate lot, and this is a separate lot now. And the paper road you were asking about is kind of like through here.
There's no road cut through the two.
Yeah, it's a paper road that doesn't, yeah.
Okay. I'll look for it. Go ahead, ma'am.
No, we're
Okay.
gonna drive through the middle.
Abby, are you ready?
Yeah, so I mean, initially I was like, this is very refreshing approach to that side of the street. I think they already have a house that's to the right. And it's also a low-lying house. It's very similar to this in architecture and so forth, except that I don't, is it also gray trim or is it natural to weather?
No, those are both, the two Benchley houses are both,
Great.
like gray, yeah, it's Nantucket gray, I think.
So maybe I'm-
But Abby, you're thinking across the street, right from the
No.
Benchley house.
No, so I'm thinking to the right of this property, if you're looking right at this property, there's another Hostetter house that they built. But I have, when I think about it, is it natural to weather trim on that one?
No, it's painted gray.
Painted gray.
It was
okay.
Cortland blue and we changed it through HCC like 12 years ago or something.
Okay. So, I understand what, HSAB says about its having a slightly modern appearance, you know, compared to the house across the street, but I think if the vegetation is such that it sort of gives you peekaboos of the architecture through the vegetation, it would be fine. And I'm sure they're going to be, anything these people do is going to be great. And it's so reassuring to have that sort of feeling. And I think the architecture is appropriate. It's simple, it's low, it's gray. These are things we asked for. And although the windows are slightly square and the entrance is slightly, you know, atypical, I think it's refreshing, and I really don't have a negative to say about it.
Thanks, Abby. Diane, how about you?
I would say if it's not highly visible, that it would be okay. I do think we are sort of going against all our proportions of the windows as being square, and we seem to have a great mixture, but I don't think it has high visibility, so I would not oppose it.
Okay, thanks, Diane. John, are you ready?
Yes. I have one question. I couldn't find it. Does the swimming pool have a roll?
Yes, it is, John.
Thank you. All I'm interested in. Thank you.
Anything on the house itself? You good?
Rest of it shingle.
Okay,
It's got regular roof pitches.
all right, very good. I like the east elevation. That's the one that's going to be seen primarily from Baxter. I'm a little concerned about the south elevation because that too, I believe that you'll see from Baxter with those long expanses of windows that are facing out to the pool. Ditto on the north elevation, you got a lot of just the expanses of glass on the north and well, I'm not loving the chimney either, but on the north elevation, all that glass you'll see from Baxter Road traveling down and the south traveling up. Those are my only concerns. But so what would you guys like to do with it?
So I think you have to figure out whether that is actually visible when you're driving down Baxter Road, because I don't want to see all that glass either. But how would we figure that out?
Oh, I actually have an idea. I
Okay.
think it'd be a relatively easy thing to do. Like if you were able to stake, not necessarily the quote front elevation, which faces east, because I don't think that there are any issues there at all. But the ridge of the bar, you know, that bar that goes back, you stake the two sides of that, then we'd be able to sort of see, you know, from the north to south of.
Going east to west, the ridge.
Correct. Going east to west, and I suppose if it's possible, you could stake, this would be to your benefit to do. Stake the southern side of the main mast, because you know, a lot of that mast is actually gonna obscure
Block. Yes,
some of the stuff that you see coming up from the
it's
south.
kind of what was meant by the L, you know, to come.
Right, so, you know, honestly, I'm thinking that that's probably gonna be okay, the
I think
north
it's the
would be.
north.
Would be of more concern, because that's just like a flat-on facade without anything to block it.
Right, and it's got a driveway.
It's got a driveway, yeah. So, you know, that would be a way of.
That's a
vetting
great
that
idea.
concept. Should we just give it a try?
Yeah, I like that motion. So
Okay.
if you would, the motion would be to put up some stakes on that,
Okay,
those ends, so we can see if we can see it coming down north.
Yes, Will.
All right, so we'll do, so we've already done it, so we can just submit it.
Yeah.
Well, we did a really extensive study to make sure we couldn't see this
Oh,
afterwards, so I've already done ridge.
Are they
and
there now?
elevation lights. No, the client asked us to take them down, because people were asking about it, but
oh,
we have photo essays of the whole study already. Because we were concerned about clients being able to see coming up Baxter Road or not, we're trying to keep this thing as hidden as possible, so.
I hate to have you, can you put them back up?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you could put the whole.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Great. So that's
yeah,
your
that's
motion.
my
Abby?
motion.
Okay, Abby's made a motion to do a viewing with this with 3 height poles. On that motion, Diane,
Aye.
thank you, John.
Aye.
Very good. Abby on your motion,
Aye.
and I'm in favor too. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, is this to come back on Tuesday?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, great. All right, very much.
Send it to Jeff.
You got-
Well,
I'll send this
I'll put together a
rendering.
photo essay.
Do you know the protocol with that? The polls go up before the weekend. Call the office and just let them know that they're up. And they put it on a viewing list so that we can go out independently on the weekend and check them out before Tuesday's meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Well,
Thank you.
just shoot me an email.
Okay, sure.
Okay,
I'll give you all the-
all right, so let's see. Next up, 21 Pleasant Street. Anybody for that? Doesn't look like it.
Call for rep.
Yeah, okay, so we're holding item number 4 for representation. That was Abby's motion. On Abby's motion, Diane.
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Yes. Aye.
All right, Abby on your motion.
Aye.
So now we're to Chip Webster's Enterprise on 79 Pocomo.
I want to get invited to
Demo.
that pool.
Move all. Okay.
This one not far.
We're not far yet. I've been around. Are these drawings of the building you want to demo move all?
Yeah, because originally they were gonna renovate it, but there's so much water damage. They had a pipe burst over the winter.
Oh, great.
And it's gonna be cheaper to
All right,
either move
well,
it salvage or
okay.
demo.
Really?
Yeah, the water is pretty bad and it got all moldy. They didn't catch it right away.
So, I can't imagine if it has any, age to it. Do you know approximately when it is?
No, I was actually just gonna look, but I don't have the internet
It was
here.
just built.
I think it was in the 70s, but I can go
Oh.
get from that. 'cause
I
wrote
mean,
it down.
it sort of like, looks like a 70s type building to me.
Yeah, it's definitely not historic.
Right, right, which is our main, issue and concern.
I know, originally they were gonna finish the basement and do a bunch of interior work and it's just. They're just gonna start over.
Okay. Listen, does anybody have any issues with this, the demo move off of this building?
I would add to it, if I was going to approve it, that they try to, look at the windows and see if they can't be salvaged by somebody. I mean, somebody might want some of this stuff.
Yeah,
I would add that to a motion just because it's just. hate to see-
maybe try to part it out. A lot of
Yeah.
the damages are around the kitchen and down to the basement.
This is something on the-
76, but there's a whole wing that's.
Oh,
still okay.
1976.
Yeah.
I mean, so, well, we just all would love to see people salvaging stuff that's able to be salvaged off the building, particularly if it is going to film. But, hey,
Yeah,
John,
Yeah.
the request on this one is actually to demolish or move this building off. It's got a lot of water damage to it. So they want to, it's built in 1976, you
76.
said? So it's built in 76. Do you have any concerns with it being moved off or demolished?
Are they gonna replace it with something?
Well, I
Yeah.
would imagine so, but
Central?
yeah,
we don't have that
eventually.
design yet.
What's the age of the building?
long.
The existing one, it should be on the first floor plan. If you-
It's gonna die, John. It's
The
sadly.
building is 102 feet long. That's awful, very large building, that's all I'm saying.
I'll make a motion to, what is it? Or move off?
Demo
Demo or
move
move off, or, and please salvage
Yeah,
anything you can, the lumber, fenestrating.
Okay, that's Abby's motion. On Abby's motion, Diane.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. John.
I'm still looking for-
Oh, you are, okay, all right. Don't worry, John, it's got all this awful stuff, it's all going to heaven.
Hey, Ray,
Yes, Diane.
Ray,
Yes?
I'm seeing Stephen on.
What did you say?
Stephen is on.
Oh, Stephen's on. Okay, good to know. He'll be up next with my application, because I'm gonna have to recuse anyway.
Good.
But, so thanks for that, Terry. But, so John, are you okay with the demo move off of this building?
Yeah.
All right, so that's that.
That's
and-
my
and-
vote.
And Abby, you're good?
Yeah.
And I'm in favor too. So that motion carries. Now we're at 5 Sherburne, and I'm gonna recuse. Stephen, are you there?
I am.
Okay, so Abby's chairing. Oh, actually, so we have Stephen and Carrie Thorne will just join our ranks. Look, Carrie.
Hi, sorry.
And that's for you, because I'm.
You ready, Lisa?
Yeah, I am.
Great.
So this is a guest house for the house located at 5 Sherburne Way. That has already been approved. This is built on 2 levels. So there's a lower garage that's a half flight down to take advantage of the slope of the site. And then there is a guest house attached to it that opens up to the pool that's gonna be on the northwest side of the house. To the west side. of the house. So the garage slab is at 56.5, and then I think the fifth floor of the house is 63.5.
So the pool, the north elevation is facing the pool.
Yes. Facing the water.
Fine, garage. Yes. Quite a great job. Yeah.
Sorry, I really like it, and I think the most minimal elevation in terms of effect is facing the roadside. Which is south. Right?
Yeah, no, that's correct.
Yeah.
Not that you really can even see this from any sort of a public way.
Down the driveway.
Yeah.
No, I think the cottage is really cute, and it's the garage is so cool, and I like it a lot. I think it's totally appropriate for that. Anyway,
Diane, are you there?
Yep, I am.
What do you
I
think?
I think it's good, the simplicity on the north elevation. You won't see that because that's facing down to the water, right, Lisa?
That's correct. It is, that's so far back. I mean, there's no way you'd see that at all.
Yeah, I appreciate the height, because I did find the marking of the height as being 23 feet. And I appreciate that. Which is good, so I don't have any major problem with it. I think it's very nice, should fit in there, and it's appropriate, certainly. Thank you.
That goes to John. He did. Ray asked it. Hey, John, can you pass this? So Diane, thank you. Carrie, is Stephen's not on this, right?
Yes.
Oh, Stephen, do you have any ideas you want to share?
Sure. Actually, can we just flip up to the site plan, please? Nope, is good. Nicely designed. Thank you.
Oh, good. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve as submitted.
Excellent. Carrie, you in favor? Aye. Steve, are you in favor? of the And Diane?
Aye.
And
You mind if I speak?
oh, I'm Sorry, John, please go.
I'm still looking at it. I'll give you-
All right.
Take it. Just for the main structure?
No, just the garage guest house.
Just the garage.
Main structure's already been approved.
This one? All right.
Yes, you see on the upper right corner, that's the lower level is the garage, then you go up.
Oh, one building?
It's all one building.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Are you in favor of the,
The motion was,
to approve?
yes.
Okay, great. That passes.
Great, thank you guys.
Okay. Did I see Matt McCacker now?
Yes.
Matt? Okay. Okay. All right, so Matt, let's see, move shed on site. 32 North Wood.
So this is an existing shed.
Oh, sorry. We actually have Carrie joined us, Stephen joined us. So, this is gonna be another rotation thing. So, yeah, we have 4 out of our 5 regular members, so Carrie and Stephen, and would you both sat on the last one? So you want to just sit on this one? Okay, so Carrie's on this one, Stephen will be on that, okay? All right. Move shed on site.
Okay, so, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, sheet A 1.3, if you look at the site plan, you'll see the existing shed. There's an existing shed on the property. You've already approved for us to actually remove a portion of it, basically a foot off of it, to bring it into, so that it's a zoning shed, so it's 200 square feet. So you've already approved that portion of it, but we're really not changing the exterior of the structure. So what we're trying to do is basically move the structure, and we're proposing to move it to the kind of front right corner. The existing building itself is already over the setback, so this building will still be set back from the main building. But this kind of just worked out. This would seem to be the best spot. It kind of stays off the tree, so it's not right up against the neighbor and we're protecting the tree. We did look at putting it in the back right-hand corner of the property.
Hi.
Yeah.
Muted now.
What's that?
Okay, fantastic. Continue that.
So the only hesitation about putting in the back right-hand corner is there are some power lines that are low that would conflict with it, but Historic Structures Advisory Board expressed some concern about being kind of like up on the road. But the elevation is still going to stay the same elevation. It's just going to be pushed further forward as a backup. If we needed to kind of force it in the back corner, we could do that. I talked to the owner a couple days ago, and he said if you want to do this, this is the first choice preference because it avoids the tree and the power lines. So that's all I have.
The tree is the tree that you're showing on the
Correct.
plan, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So which way is the gable facing?
Yeah.
Faces towards the, I believe it's Strong 5. So east elevation is what faces the road.
That faces.
East elevation faces the road.
Correct, and that's not
Okay.
changing.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Pretty charming.
yeah, Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, wait,
Oh,
I just want to mention historic structure.
oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
it's okay, that's all right. So HSAB did say that moving a shed or any secondary structure close to the street is counter to building Nantucket in mind and would prefer to see it back off the street in the original location or pushed further into the corner. And I concur with that, but I also do appreciate the reuse of this structure. I do remember that there was a application for a demo move and the commission was strongly on that. So,
Yeah.
thank you, Matt. Those are the comments, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Now you can go.
Yeah, so I'm remembering something we passed on Pleasant Street where we did the gable the other way around, and I really regret having done that. It always sticks out in my mind, like, don't ever do that again. So I'm happy that that is the east elevation on North Liberty Street, and I think it's small enough. It shows up really large on your site plan. I don't think it's
It
That-
does, yeah,
big in relationship to the other structures, but, the pink, it just looks very large there, but I don't think it is it?
The pink's
It's
making it.
14, well, it is, it's 14 by 14, so if that's 5 feet, then it is.
the site plan should be accurate, but I think the color pronounces it to make it look like it's really significant, but it's, the other thing too is, just looking at it when you go on the street, this building pretty much is part of the overall composition as it is now, so it's just really coming like closer.
I just wish I knew what the house looked like. I mean,
Oh,
I
the-
was
there should be
racking my
pictures
brain
there.
and said, Yeah.
There photographs, should be photographs.
This is the.
Oh, here you
Oh,
go.
the really cute little.
Yeah, it's got a nice little,
Oh,
like a nice little
okay,
shade.
that's just the shed.
with black shutters.
You want
Look, Carrie, because the
Yeah.
next application, we're applying to change some windows on the front of the main house.
Thanks, that's good. I'm worried about the mud in between the two buildings, that's all.
the mud?
Yeah. Is this, how is it gonna dry? Anyway, that's fine. I'm okay with it.
Okay. Diane, how about you?
I am fine with it. I'm glad that it is being saved. It's a nice shed. What you're removing, I don't think will be bad, and I am glad that it is going to continue there. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Diane. How about you, Carrie?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good
All right,
building.
fantastic.
Well,
John?
Yeah, question, there's a little overhang roof here. Is it being demolished?
Yes,
Yeah, that's coming off. All this pink is coming off.
Thank you.
You okay? I think you can do a motion on this one, folks.
Motion to approve.
All right, Abby's made a motion to approve on that motion. Carrie?
Aye.
Diane?
Connecting the audio.
Oh, John on the motion?
Aye.
Thank you, Abby on your motion.
Aye.
Aye.
There you go. Thanks, Diane, and I'm in favor, so that motion carries. And now we're gonna do paint color on the house, is that right? Oh, no, replacement, here, sorry.
oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Just jump right in. So, with your permission, Mr. Chair. This is obviously, this is the house that the board has previously approved. We are obviously proposing, anywhere we have new windows, there are new windows. The existing windows in the house are not original to the date of construction. And so we were hoping to replace those as well. We did provide detailed window photographs of the windows to demonstrate that they are not original. And so this is just more kind of a clarification of the original application. That's all I have.
Really?
Okay, so the only thing that you're requesting here is to replace these windows that you've bubbled?
Correct, like kind.
So no addition, or like a thing on the front page that says addition?
Green, big green, I apologize, well, that was the, that's the.
That's already approved or
That's all,
something?
yeah, it's simply just to replace the existing windows like kind. When we got the original approval, we platted new windows. But when we looked at the original windows, they're not original and they're.
Are they TDL, are they?
Yeah, they're TDL.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
proposal is for TDL as well, the new.
Okay. Let's see, there you
Sure,
go.
HSAP had no concerns.
No concerns, okay. Like the sound of that. Okay. Anybody want to start into this?
I've never heard that phrase. So.
I'm ready to approve
No
it.
concerns, I got it right here.
Yeah. Did you say you're ready to start out?
I'm ready to approve it.
Oh, okay. Does anybody have any concerns with the replacement of the windows on this house? HSAP has already said it's they're okay with it. You got any issues, John? Yeah.
There's over 20 windows in this house. My question is, we replace it like kind. All right, like kind, what is existing there? What, same company or what?
It's a single, I don't know the original manufacturer, but it's a single pane window with a wood muntin. And so our proposal would be to replace it with a single pane window with a wood muntin. I do not know the manufacturer at this point.
Okay, you're only gonna replace the ones in the red.
Only the ones that are clouded that are bubbled, yeah.
All right, okay. This here's all being
No.
demolished?
That was left over from a previous
Or previous
application.
submission.
They're not demolishing all that. It's just about the windows.
6 windows.
Yeah. Okay. Here.
I'm good with it, yep. A motion to approve.
Okay, thank you.
I leaned into the microphone.
Abby's made motion to approve this. On that motion, Diane,
Aye.
thank you, Carrie.
Aye.
Very good, John.
Aye.
Abby on your motion.
Aye.
And on Kate. All right, that's that. And now, Stephen, you still with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you can sit on this one.
Okay, thank you. Chair. So this is an addition to an existing structure at 2 Chestnut Street. You may recall, probably about a year or so ago, you actually approved the demolition of the garage that sits next to this, and in its place approved a 3-story building with a gable forward. The property has since changed ownership, and basically what they're looking to do is essentially emulate what that form, but in the form of an addition to the existing building. There's a number of factors that play into this. There is an existing exterior fire escape on the building now, if you're familiar with it. It actually shows up on, which would be the west elevation. It's obstructed now. Actually, you can't see it on the west elevation, it's just in condition wrong. That functions as the second means of egress for the 3rd floor units. One of the benefits of this, by connecting the structures, 2 things. One is we have to provide handicap accessibility to the building and the addition. And one way of doing that is to have this ramp that actually kind of separates the 2 buildings on the 1st floor, but it's connected on the upper floors. I will get back to one point about that detail, because I think like a really subtle little archway would make that a little bit more, make the transition a little bit softer. But basically, that gap on the 1st floor is basically our 1 and 12 access. And we looked at a number of different versions of this, and I know I'm talking a little bit about kind of code issues, but I think they're relevant because they determine some of the architectural components. Our alternatives were to do an exterior lift, which is not that attractive, or an interior lift, which actually puts a door at street level that doesn't align with the other windows, we felt that this was the best solution, A, because it's analog, A, because it's the most inviting to people with disabilities, or it's really kind of a connected pathway to the inn itself. The other part of this is that we are adding a protected means of egress for fire, for like basically life safety, a rated fire enclosure in the new addition in lieu of that exterior, fire escape, if you will. So I just want to give you a little bit of background in terms of what we're doing here. If you recall the original approval, it's not too dissimilar in terms of just a gable forward structure. So
that, to that point, because I was gonna actually ask that question. In what way or ways does this new addition differ from what we already approved?
I'd say in the most, the connectors on the second and third floor. And the plate height, I think the eave line was a little bit lower in the previous iteration because it was a completely detached building.
Right.
But we are connecting the third floor and basically on that wing, if you will, so that you have the protected means of egress in the new addition. Other than that, I'm sure that there's a number of details. I think that building actually had commercial fenestration on the first floor because it was an independent structure, so it was highly fenestrated on the first floor. So it's different in that regard. That existing shed dormer is that existing shed dormer. That's not the most attractive. We're hesitant to start to edit that or mess with it, but we are open to, we did make some considerations for potentially adjusting fenestration, either adding more or spreading it apart or something like that, but we left it the way it is for now, so. That,
Thank you, Matthew.
turn it over to the board.
Holly.
Mr. Chair, thank you. So for the record, the existing main structure was built after the Great Fire, circa 1846. Also, Lancaster does note in his book that shed dormer obviously was a later contemporary addition. We all know that. The age of the garage, I understand that it already received previously approved for demolition. I wasn't aware of that, but was in 1940s per the assessor's information as well as any other information I could find. I did notate that the file indicates the previous approval. I will say that looks a lot better, more in keeping with the other architecture along that part of Chestnut, where you have the storefronts, and I think that was more sympathetic. This is kind of an odd configuration for an addition onto the Short Creek Revival. I personally would, kind of go back towards the previous approval. I understand that there's change in ownership and change of program, but that was more sympathetic to the historic part of this part of town. I took a look at this on August 9th. They said this addition does not fit into the neighborhood context. It's too tall, too close to the street, not at all subordinate to the main mast. Roof pitch is too steep, dormer is too massive, the connector is inappropriate in every way. It is not up to the HTC to approve a floating elevated passageway simply to meet the applicant's needs. There are other ways, including retaining the existing fire escape structure, which is not an unusual sight in town. A more acceptable approach would be to present this addition as separate, smaller, and lower independent dwellings set back from the street with a street ground floor connector well to the back. Apparently, a similar building was already approved in this location. The applicant is asking for too much structure too close to the street, creating an interrupted street 3-story wall on a small side street in town. These streets should not become walled by densely packed towering masses. The neighborhood originated as a modest dwellings and streetscape should retain that character.
I just think a couple of quick points. I disagree with a lot of what was said by HSAB with all due respect. I think they have an aversion to third floor dormers. But I think historically, I could provide photographs that contradict a lot of that. And I would also say that the ramp is not something that is designated to specifically suit our clients. It's specifically designated to support the public and those with disabilities. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll begin.
That'd be great. Go ahead, Diane.
Okay. unfortunately for Matt, I agree a lot with Hassab. I think the agenda, the second building is too high. Looks like it's maybe a foot lower than the main building. I think the dormers are too big, whether that is an existing dormer over the front, then the windows should be separated or the dormer brought in. It is overwhelming. If you know that Chestnut Street, the family that owned directly across the street, which was a bed and breakfast, was a small little Nantucket building. And this is not, this is a whopping big building. And to me, it is too big. The dormers should be brought in. Every one of them is huge and could be brought in, has to be lowered, I believe. And the windows are made in such a way that they aren't, it doesn't look like a hotel because that's what it looks like now. And I think it has to be there. Let's see, not the north one, but the one right below it on my pad. It's hard to see. Those dormers look, you've got a little window in the middle of a huge dormer, and the third floor is overpowering, I think. I think it needs to be reduced, and I think the third floor needs to be brought down to at least a foot or 2 feet lower than the main building. This is an old building. And the garage next to it is 1940. That makes it a pretty old building, but this was built after the fire. It doesn't look like it has no charm that you have on Chester Street. It needs, I believe it needs to be rethought. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Stephen, while we're on the owl, are you ready?
Oh,
Owl.
I don't see an owl.
You don't see the owl.
You
but
are the
we do. You
owl.
are the owl. Yeah.
I am the owl. Oh, good. I love owls.
You and Stephen are both the owl. Steve, there?
Who?
Oh, you're so sharp.
That one was for my dad. All right. Bear with me one second here. So I have a little different take on this, so that I just want to state up front. I think that, I mean, for me, the north elevation, the existing dormer says it all. That's not something I think would ever be approved. If you look to the west elevation, you see that what's been proposed actually replicates proportionally what's existing on the historic structure. So I think the reason I point that out is not to be pointed, is just to develop the context for the dormers on the rear. Having said that, I do think the overall structure is a little bit too much. I'm not adverse to the concept of the connector. I do think that the connector roof is too tall. There should be more of a sense of a subordinate mass with respect to the connector roof and with respect to the addition itself. And I just want to be clear that I think that the mass that's proposed, inclusive of the connector, should be proportionately smaller to some degree. But I also think that the roof of the connector needs to be smaller still, because having the ridge terminate into the ridge of the 3-story mass or 2.5-story mass seems to me to be a little overwhelming. I think generally, if this were somehow proportionally shrunken down or changed some way, maybe with roof lines, that I would be able to support it. There are tall buildings that are, basically 2 stories with dormers along this road. I do wonder, the street rather. You okay, Diane?
Sorry, I was choking. Thank you.
No, that's why I wondered if you were okay.
Okay.
The other thing is that I wonder if there is some design solutions. I understand there'd be a large compromise on the 3rd floor. but to incorporate some type of a hip roof. With the dormer on the main mast, it may get very confused very quickly. You may have already done some studies on this map, but I don't have the benefit of looking at those. So those are my comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. How about you, John?
Yes, I have a comment. Everything that's in red is being demolished.
That's correct, John.
Okay. And we'd rather go to the south elevation on A22. All right, now this is complicated. I think the existing is here.
Yeah.
Right, and shed dormer. Right, 2.5-inch pitch. Okay. General policy is, it always has been, shed roofs, anything on shed roofs have a 4-inch minimum,
That's existing.
right?
Okay, just,
It's in here.
oh, yeah.
I know it's matching the existing.
I hear you.
Well, sometimes it's not good to match existing when you have a policy that we've always used.
Gotcha.
Now, that you can, there's enough roof there above the roof, you can get a 4-inch pitch in there.
Mhm.
I think so.
Gotcha.
And that's my, I want some answers from it.
You want them right now?
Yeah, these
I
should be
mean,
4-inch.
I hear what you're saying. We matched, we basically have some height requirements that we're trying to hit because it is new. And given the limited, footprint and the roof pitches, the 2.5 pitch is the best solution. And because it's found on the building as an existing architectural element, we thought that we could use it as part of the vernacular. But what I'm hearing from you is if there's any way to make it a steeper pitch, preferably a 4, we should try to make that happen. Is what I'm understanding.
It can be done because your windows can be dropped down to that second floor.
I can look into that, John, certainly.
I think that's very important for keeping our policies. We're gonna put many of them left to have broken.
I agree.
That's my comment. I'd like some answers for that.
Okay, well, he's probably gonna do some revisions, John.
Okay.
He's gonna be doing some revisions. So thank you, John. Abby?
So I would like to see the 3rd floor dormer on the main mast reconfigured to fit the scale of the roof. You said that might be an option, because it does connect to what I want to say about the proposed. But what I want to say first is the connector needs to be either disguised or designed up, like add a trellis or something. Right now, it's reading as a hollow opening, so I'd like to see that sort of dealt with, the way you did that great thing on Broad Street. You did a good job connecting those 2 buildings. 3rd floor dormer should be, so on the newly proposed, the 3rd floor dormer on the west, I think has to be reduced and taken away from that forward gable. I think it's looking overwhelming. And then that dormer, if you could relate back to that main mass dormer. So I don't know how you would do it, but on the far left of the main mast, there's a hip roof coming off on the left. I was wondering, it's a wonderful feature. I was wondering if that could be incorporated somehow. I don't know how to do it, but I really like it. It's such a nice low pitch.
On the east elevation?
On the north elevation, you're looking at the main
Left.
building
Gotcha.
to the left, see
Yeah,
those steps
Yeah.
going back. So I'd like, also if possible, I'd like to move that proposed back further from the main mast, make it a little more secondary and also reduce the height by 2 feet.
Thanks, Abby. This 2nd floor connector reminds me of something, this little detail that I really love, going on that alleyway behind Macy Warehouse. It takes you to Straight Wharf, that cobblestone
Yeah.
alley, it's got that 2nd floor thing. I've always loved that, and, so I'm totally fine with that here. little quirky things like that, I think contribute to the charm of the downtown area. However, I know that the addition is larger than the one that we approved previously. So for my purposes anyway, I'd like to see like what we approved dashed in. No, I'm sure it's lower by how much, I don't know. And if it is lower, then you might want to think about how you could reconcile, like not having to have those use a line. Sure. So that to this idea that's been said by a number of people here about subordination of this wing with the main mass. That's all I've got. So should we motion for some? revisions?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Stephen, go ahead.
Oh,
Yes,
thanks.
go.
I have two quick comments and then I'll motion. I just wanted to support the comments you just made and that Abby had made. I wanted to point out that pinwheel may be, if disguising that connector is a solution for them, the applicant, it may be the pinwheel building is a good example of how that might be done. I personally don't mind the connector. I don't think it's inappropriate. And the other thing, just with respect, I want to reemphasize maybe jogging the proposed mass back another foot or so. And the other thing I wanted to introduce is the concept of perhaps we could get a study, Matt, that shows the existing structure, if this is something you all are interested in, with clapboard siding, because I think some way to create more of a focal point on the historic structure versus, which is not uncommon right on the street for to have clapboard siding, could differentiate the main structure from the addition. So just some additional comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And with that, a motion to hold for revisions.
So Stephen has made a motion to hold for some revisions on that motion. John?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. Diane?
You're muted, Diane.
Aye.
You, Abby?
Aye.
Stephen on your motion?
Aye.
And I'm in favor, motion carries. Thank you. And now we got a shed at 14 Lowell. This is the. There you go.
Mr. Chair, I can just jump right in here. This is just an application for a simple shed. Obviously the lot is small and they want to have access to, they want the shed to be close to the parking, so they can put bikes in there and whatnot. And so the idea is to kind of tuck it in beside the house. As you recall, we did create an addition off the back of this existing historic structure, and to the right or the north, the section on the right is a one-story structure. And this is a 200 square foot zoning shed for bikes. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks. HSAC.
Yes, Mr. Chair, HSAC took a look at this, again, this is a reconstructed bungalow. And the ideally sheds in the old historic district should be placed in the back of the dwelling. If it cannot go in the back, then it should be considerably smaller and set several feet back from the main facade of the dwelling. I also noted, and that could be wrong, Matt, but it looks like your east elevation showing the proposed shed doesn't show that connector piece in the back, of the actual structure itself, the main
Yeah.
dwelling.
Yep.
And it would be interesting to see from the perspective of the street what it blocks, the
Sure.
proposed shed. But I also do agree that it should be located more of the rear of the Y if at all possible. Those are comments, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Who wants to start on this one?
I know, I was just looking at the dimensions, it's there, so it's across where the doors are, it's 13.6 and deep, it's 14 feet, and
Correct.
the HSAB was saying that it could be reduced. I think that's a good idea, because like they said, this is usually, you usually see, a driveway going back, and it's in the back of the property. So if this would be reduced, yeah, and I also, those were good comments, like, because what is that going to look like against the addition on the right? So I think making it smaller would sort of help the whole situation.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Diane, you ready?
Yeah, I I agree with what Abby has said. It should be made smaller and back further. And if, let's see, on the north elevation, no, maybe it's the west elevation, it has no windows in it at all. I don't know whether a window like on the south elevation, at least in the middle, would give it a little more presence on the street there, rather than being quite so lacking of fenestration. I only see two small windows on the south and the doors, and that's it. I think that it would become less noticeable if it sort of fit more in with the houses that it was next to. That's and move back, and it's, I can't quite read how tall it is. It's 14 something. But if you look at it, the on the site plan with the other house that you see, and then where the shed is, you will see the comparison of the amount. It's 189 square feet. I don't know what the addition right behind it is, but I'd like to see it move back a little bit. I don't know whether it could go all the way in the back of the buildings, unless you're trying to use it to hide something, but I can't see anything what it would be hiding. And I think it would give the facade of the building itself more presence than to have that garage with the doors right up in front. So I don't know whether it can be moved to the back to suit their needs or not, but I would think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Carrie, you ready?
Yeah, I think it sort of competes with the house, that sort of crammed in there. Considering it is still staying sort of bungalowy. But for the shed itself, it's a fine shed. I do think, what elevation is that? North, I think the north elevation should have a larger window, because that's the only elevation that you'll see from the street at an angle that, other than that, pretty straightforward little shed.
Okay.
I think relocating would be good, but not, imperative.
Okay. Thanks. John?
Yeah. I had one question on the east elevation. The way it looks, okay? My question is that, could they be aluminum or steel or wood doors?
Those are wood doors, John,
Wood doors,
wood doors.
thank you.
All right. Yeah, I think, it's unfortunate that it's located right where it is, which would mean for me either a reduction in width, I guess, because then you'd see more of what's going on behind it. And by the way, it would be nice, I think Holly first mentioned this, that we don't really see on your drawings what's back there, if this would be the foreground too. So what should we do with this, folks? Oh, by the way, I also agree with the idea of adding a real bona fide window to the north elevation. Because it is,
Maybe we should hold for revisions to see what it looks like.
yeah,
Does the driveway have to be that deep? How deep does the driveway have to be?
legally 20. Or if that's the space. Oh, yeah, this is 2 legal spaces. Yeah.
I was wondering if in this case, I don't know if they really wanted it. I wonder if moving it away and giving that main mass some breathing room might, if you could snatch some of the driveway and move it forward. Might give it the house. a little more.
Move it further forward.
Yeah, I know, we're not
That-
supposed to,
Yeah,
but
that's interesting. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
sort of shoehorned in. Anyway, Diane, were you about to say something about a motion for some revisions?
Made a motion to hold for revisions. So we
Okay,
can where it can go and how, what size is the best and how many windows.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. On Diane's motion, Abby,
Aye.
Carrie,
Aye.
John,
Hey,
Diane on your motion.
Aye,
I'm in favor, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
How late are you guys gonna go today?
Well, 2:30, so I'm
Yeah.
looking at it, oh, it's 2:20. So Ben is the last person for today.
well,
Thank
Dan,
you. Thank you, Ben.
How you got today?
Yeah.
How much
Okay,
you pay him?
so
I don't talk about that stuff.
Steven,
Chairman Cohen, can I just ask you a question?
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Going, previously, these meetings have been on YouTube Live. But it wasn't today. Going forward, is the plan to always make them delayed?
I got some maybe good news for you. This is the last meeting that's gonna be live for a while. We're going back to Zoom.
Okay,
Tuesday night, Zoom.
so it'll be
It's not gonna
basically.
be happening here. Everybody's gonna be at their houses.
Okay.
So that's what's happening Tuesday, which means that, you know, you'll be able to, from the comfort of your home, instead of coming out anywhere, you'll be able to tune in.
Okay, so it'll be 100% Zoom, it won't be hybrid.
100% Zoom.
But this
Yeah.
room doesn't get live, does
We
it?
know,
Is
we
that
got some sort of,
realized?
there's an issue with,
On Thursdays, and then we upload it after.
Yeah, I just thought I had listened live, but maybe I'm just like.
yeah, like I.
TikTok.
Anyway,
Okay,
so that's,
okay, all
that's
right.
Tuesday.
Thank you very much.
Oh, she just wanted to know whether we're gonna be live on Zoom. But so
we're gonna be on Zoom.
we're gonna be on Zoom on next Tuesday.
It's just.
Thank you very much.
I think we're
Yeah.
always gonna
Yeah.
be Friday.
Okay, Ben. Oh, Stephen, are you still with us?
I am.
Okay, so you're on this.
Oh, my God.
Low Beach Road. Okay, hit it, Ben.
So this is one of the last properties on Low Beach Road, about a 5-acre lot surrounded by wetlands and conservation, accessed by a proprietor's way off of 101 Low Beach Road. And we're proposing a cluster, or I'm proposing a cluster of 3 little studios, very low. I think maybe they max out at 16 feet. And it's just like a kind of a quintessential little sponset community of little structures. So,
So it's sitting on this same lot with this larger house?
yeah, we have that house approved. The plans are in the application for the main house, formal main house, but we wanted a little camp.
Pretty cool looking. Okay, so it does say future solar, so you know you're not getting an
Yep.
approval for us.
Yeah, we have a big ground array that Bias approved about 3 months ago. Ideally, they would get it, but we'll come back and get that.
This is outside of Sconset advisory.
Correct. And
Yeah,
I can vouch that none of this is visible.
yeah, and even if it were, you know. They are. Okay,
I'm ready.
go ahead, Stephen.
I'm just going to speak on the 3 of them because I think it's applicable to all. It's a charming litter of studios and not visible.
Yes. Thank you.
And I mean litter in the kind sense like puppies and things like that.
Cute things.
Yes.
Road traffic. Abby, you folded up.
I'm fine, but I wanna know who's parking all over they're like, the parking lot is huge. It's like, how many people, how many?
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of tennis.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Big one. A lot of action. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. But you're okay with the architecture? Okay. Stephen, you were good. Diane, how about you? You with us, Diane?
You're muted, Diane.
I think the cottages are cute. I just wondered how many more buildings were going to be put on this lot. It's getting like a whole village of itself. That's all.
There'll likely be one more tennis hut next to tennis court for a cooler and some maybe a bathroom.
You're starting to Wisconsin South.
But that'll be it. That'll be the last thing, I promise.
Okay. Are you okay with the architecture? Yeah, you were, right? That there are
Yeah, I'm
three-
okay with the architecture. I just wondered. It's a new village.
Okay, thank you, Diane. John,
Yes. It says two sliding doors, am I right?
Got one sliding door, yep, one sliding door.
One is fixed.
Yeah, yeah, it's a slider, one of them functions, the other one's a fixed.
Both sides.
One panel functions, the other one is a fixed panel.
And it's like
Somehow
500.
People don't believe me.
no, so here. So what happens, John, is this one, this door can open. This door just stays where it is.
That's what I'm asking, man.
Yeah, so it's a pair of sliding doors, but one of them operates.
I'm just curious.
No, just telling you.
It's the details that bother me.
Yeah. You okay?
Fine.
Good. I like it. It's cute. Should we vote these through? Are they all?
They're all exactly the same, whether they're mirrored or changed
Yeah.
directions, but they have their own.
I think that we could probably motion this through as all three together.
Yeah,
Would
it's like
somebody-
500 feet from the routers.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
It's even more probably.
Yeah,
Does somebody want to make that motion?
I will make that motion to approve the whole thing.
Okay, so that would be all three applications for 99 Low Beach Road, Studios 1, 2, and 3. Abby has made a motion to approve all three as submitted. On Abby's motion, Diane.
Aye.
Thank you, Stephen.
He's gone.
No.
There.
Almost. Aye.
Okay, great, thank you. John.
I'd like to see the third one, please.
Can we show John the third one?
I don't believe everybody.
You probably shouldn't. It's a good thing in this life not to believe what you hear.
Skepticism.
Who did I get? Let's see, you made
I'm
the
in.
motion,
I'm in.
right, so
And I have
you're
to go.
okay on your motion, yeah.
Even-
So going back to Zoom.
The hybrid thing just was presenting all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
You know,
This seems a
That
little
was-
comfortable being in this room with you all.
did you say comfortable?
Well, I mean, this feels like a little crowded for this amount of people during.
Yeah, we're all masked, you know.
Yeah.
and at
It's a
least-
petri dish in there.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
As he's sitting at home with his
Oh,
windows open.
You betcha.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing.
But how slow is it gonna go is the question.
I don't think they
You
say.
think it doesn't go any slower than Harvard?
Mr. Chair, that was the one app I could not find today. and I was hoping we weren't going to get to it first, but it's,
How about two?
yeah, two, yeah, over here.
Let's show John one. John, just so you know, all these these three applications are all like versions of each other.
I'm curious for something on it,
Okay,
their location on the lot.
yeah.
That's all. I want to match up, all three of them, that's all. They're both the same.
Oh, there we go.
They have a solar roof, right?
Well,
No,
we're not approving the solar this just yet.
Yeah, the
That's
Ryan
what
will come
we-
back to that.
This is the living room.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I had a question, something else on.
Oh, cool. You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a motion. Abby's made a motion to approve all three of them. Are you okay with that, John?
Aye.
Okay, so I'm in favor too, so that motion carries. You got all three.
Thank you very much.
I'll figure it
Thanks
out.
for your time.
Pretty good out.
Okay, I guess we can adjourn for the day, folks.
So
Hey, Ben,
moved.
You know that nice house on Westchester, they were gonna come back with the flower, the glass, did it ever come back?
We do have a motion on the table to adjourn.
Oh,
Stephen's made a motion to adjourn on a motion. John?
Aye.
Thank you. Diane?
Aye.
Abby,
Bye.
Stephen on your motion.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too, Stephen. We're officially adjourned. And so
The greenhouse?
Yeah.
For Westchester?
Yeah.